Hi everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you some self-care habits for anxiety and panic attacks even as well, if that's something that applies to you. I want to share with you 7 things that you can do, some tools that you can pull from. And these are things actually that specifically I have personally done and tools that I use if I'm ever feeling anxious. So with that being said, let's dive into some self-care habits for anxiety. So number 1 is to remember that the feeling of anxiety or panic even perhaps is temporary. Remember that it will pass. It will pass, even if you don't believe it right now, or you feel like the thoughts that you're thinking are the ultimate truth, or you have that sense of impending doom. Maybe you feel hot, maybe you're feeling like your mind is racing, you're ruminating over something. It's so easy to be lost in that and to have those things convince us that the worst is going to happen. But remember that those feelings, that state will pass, it will calm down, and it will pass. No emotion, no feeling, nothing actually ever is permanent. The next thing that I want to talk about here is to accept, not resist, the feelings that you're experiencing. So what I mean by that is that when you are feeling panic or anxiety and all of the really frightening and uncomfortable feelings and thoughts that come along with that, it's so easy to be really frightened by them and we resist it. When we resist something, it makes it a lot stronger. But when we say, okay, hey, all right, this is how I'm feeling, let's explore this. Where do I feel this in my body? How am I feeling? What am I feeling? It loses power over you a little bit, and it helps it diminish is what it does. The next point here that I want to talk about is a kind of a classic. You've probably heard of this before if you are ever stressed, and that is to breathe deeply. Okay, breathing very slowly and very deeply, really slow inhales and especially slow exhales, long, slow exhales. What this does is it helps to calm the nervous system, actually. That's what you're doing when you're breathing that way. And when you're having an anxiety attack or a panic attack, you are definitely breathing very shallow. You might have your shoulders hunched. Your whole body is in that stress, fight or flight mode. And you want to just mitigate that a bit. You want to bring it down a bit, and that's what breathing slowly and deeply does. Talk it out. This is so helpful, is to talk about what's going on in your mind. What are you thinking of? What's bothering you? What's weighing on you? What's going on? Having some open, honest, and compassionate communication about what's going on with you. And this can definitely be hard depending on what it is that might be bothering you or stressing you out. But having someone that you can trust, that whether this is a close friend or your partner or someone that you can speak to, especially if it's someone, maybe you're making a decision about something and you need to work it out, as opposed to holding in the thoughts that you are having, the feelings that you're having, and not talking about it and worrying about what might happen if you talk about it. That can really elevate things. It can really elevate that state of anxiety and stress, and by talking about it, it can really diffuse the stress that you're experiencing. It can be like taking a balloon full of air and then it can really deflate it when you just talk about what's going on. Number 5 is to basically get out of your mind for a moment and get outside, or just get out of the general environment that you might be in that moment when you're feeling really stressed. Maybe just getting up from your chair, just changing your scenery a little bit, but going for an actual walk, like around the block or around a park or something, is good, because it's not so much about distracting yourself necessarily, and going for a walk isn't going to eliminate anxiety. You might still be thinking about whatever it is that's bothering you, but it's giving you that opportunity to just whoa, like, get out of your mind a little bit and open things up. Look at, what are my surroundings? What do I see? What do I hear? What's around me? Just to change that scenery a little bit, because sometimes what can happen when we're feeling very anxious is, or even we're having a panic attack or something like that, is that we find ourselves, sitting, I don't know, on the couch in the living room or in our bedroom, and we're just sitting with it, just fully freaking out. And it's that mode that you kind of have to gently snap yourself out of a little bit, to just be like, I'm gonna get out of this moment of super rumination. I'm gonna go for a walk and I'm gonna walk it out. Get that movement going, and then it can help things to pass easier. Next, eating regularly, making sure that you're not going long periods of time without eating. And here's the tricky thing, is that sometimes when we are very anxious or very stressed out, and certainly if you're having a panic attack, you don't want to eat in that moment, but also feeling very anxious can really cut your appetite. You might not have any appetite, but an underfueled brain is an anxious brain. When we are underfueled, when we have not eaten enough, it's much harder for our body and our brain to cope with mental stressors. It's harder on the body. Not everyone experiences low appetite when they are stressed or anxious. Not everyone does, but it's quite common. So if you are in that position where you don't have an appetite, you just want to focus on something little, but also things that are more filling, okay, more calorie dense or higher in fat and protein. So nuts, nut butter, peanut butter, beans, things like that, yogurt, maybe some fruit with nut butter, something like that. That's just a little bit more satiating for the body and can give you a little bit more sustenance. Okay, and lastly, caffeine. Caffeine. If you are someone who's prone to anxiety, you probably already know this, but caffeine is a nervous system stimulant, and it can really set you off, especially if you're already, maybe you're dealing with something, a stressful situation at the moment, or anything. If you are experiencing anxiety, then caffeine is really not going to be very helpful at all, really, basically. So something to just keep in mind, even right now. Take a moment to ask yourself, if you're feeling anxious, have I had caffeine today? Have I had a lot of it lately? What's my caffeine intake like? Whether it's through different foods or beverages, right? Coffee, different kinds of teas, black teas, green teas. I love matcha lattes, but sometimes I gotta be careful there. Dark chocolate, these things are things to just be aware of. So that is it for today's video. I hope that those of you watching who maybe needed to hear this today found it helpful and something that you could kind of relate to. And let me know in the comments below if you have ever used some of these strategies and how they've worked for you or helped you. Self-care is definitely really important when we are dealing with anxiety, panic, lots of stress. So thanks so much again for watching, and that's it. I will see you all in the next one. Bye.